I drove to this site and I parked the truck, and I didn't do it intentionally, but I was facing the setting sun. Little did I know the sun was setting on the day and on my life. And I was trying to get up the energy to get out of the truck. I felt so sick, and I had stashed some more medication, and I realized I'd already taken more for the day. But you know, pain is a terrible thing. It drives you, and I just wanted the relief, and so I took more, and I sat back waiting for that to happen. And instead of that nice warm relief of the ache in every bone in my body, suddenly it felt as though my feet were on fire. And I actually remember looking down at the floor of the truck. Why is there a fire in the truck? And it spread rapidly up my legs from my fingertips inboard and seized my lungs. And you know when you're dying. And it was as though I was drowning because my lungs were collapsing. And I kept raising my head to try to breathe. And then in that last instant, someone who had never prayed since I was a child, I called out 3 words that made all the difference. From somewhere inside of me, Joni, that I didn't even know still existed.
Wow.
I became instantly aware of all the time I had wasted, and all the help that I could have been to people, and all the kindness I should have shown. And instead, I was completely absorbed in my own wealth and arrogance. And I cried out, God, forgive me.
Those
God,
3 words.
Forgive me. And I remember my hand was shaking as I tried to reach out to God, and I fell forward and collapsed on the steering wheel. Yeah.
So then what happened?
I can't tell you exactly how long I was over the steering wheel, but I remember waking up, and the first thing I noticed was that I had no pain. This thing that had ruled my life for 4 years, I had no pain. It was as though I had taken off a heavy, wet overcoat and the pain with it. I slid out of the truck. I walk about 15 feet away, and I feel incredible. It's a spring evening in April. I can hear the birds. I can smell the grass. And for the first time, I have no pain. And I looked down at my feet, and it's as though I can see through them. And I, of course, rationalized it and thought, boy, that medication was powerful, but it worked.
Yeah.
So I'm just standing there absorbed in the feeling of being healthy again. And I turn and look at my truck, and instantly I'm filled with rage because someone is in my truck. Not only that, he's sleeping on the steering wheel. And so I turned to go over there and just do what guys do and tell him I didn't appreciate it. And have you ever had a dream where something's chasing you and you can't move your feet?
Yes.
That's what it was like. But I managed to inch a little closer, and I look up, and words fail me to describe to you the moment when I look into the truck and that realization that that body leaned over the wheel of that truck is not a stranger. It is me. And I know it's me because my head is this way on the wheel, and there's blood gushing from my mouth.
Wow. Wow.
But in my arrogance and my, ability to fix anything, fly anything, do anything, I thought if I could just get over there and get back in my body, everything would be okay. Little did I know it was not okay. Wow. Suddenly I began to rise, and I'm floating upwards, and I'm looking down at the truck. I can see my body through the rear window of the truck, and and I'm very aware of the altitude as a pilot, and I get up there and I tilt my head back. This beautiful golden circle appears in the sky like a gigantic wedding ring, 60 feet in diameter. The center fills with gold, and then the gold swings back. And then, as though I had hit all the thrusters on the jets on the aircraft that I used to fly, I went at tremendous speed into that tunnel of light. I'd heard the term before, tunnel of light, and I think most people have, but that's exactly what it was. It's a corridor to another place. And sometimes, and it was almost instantaneous. I went through it. The strangest thing, Joni, was typically, if you're going fast, you hear the speed of the wind, you feel the wind on your face, nothing, just silence. I come to a door, and it's covered in mist, a door or a portal, and I lift. I know I have no choice but to go through because the tunnel is closing behind me. And so I step through, and it's misty, I cannot see, but I look down at my feet, the mist starts to clear, and I can't believe it. I'm standing on the most incredible, beautiful green grass I've ever seen. Each blade lit up. And I now know what they mean by the saying, the grass is always greener on the other side. They're talking about heaven.
Yeah.
And I look up, and the mist clears, and I get my first gaze of paradise. But there's something interesting. On the right, there's this beautiful field with flowers and mist and a beautiful blue sky, but curiously enough, no sun. And as a pilot, that's the first thing I look for to orient myself. Am I northwest? Am I southeast? And I'm looking for the sun. But as my gaze traversed to the left, that beautiful green grass went from green to scorched to brown to scorched to black and dropped off in a crevasse. I've always been an inquisitive person. I couldn't get over the dichotomy between the two vistas. And so I walked over very carefully and looked down this pit. And the walls were like black anthracite coal and slippery. And as I look, there's a dim flicker of a red light, not unlike a campfire you would see in the distance on a summer night. But it started to grow larger. And then I heard something really strange, the sound of two large doors creaking open on hinges that had not been oiled for a long time. And along with that came, the flame grew. So looking down, the doors were sideways and the flame grew greater. And then I saw something, to my shock, amble out from this, and it was massive. It was a creature that Hollywood couldn't replicate. The most disgusting looking creature, large, with a body of fire and smoke. Yet it had features not unlike a hyena.
Oh, wow.
And it was clearly sniffing and searching for something. But then suddenly I saw it pause, and then it gazed back up toward me. The look of hatred in the eyes, Joni, of that creature for anything, for me and for mankind, was palpable. And that, combined with the stench of death and decay that came out of that pit, it was the smell of despair. The smell of despair. And then what really galvanized me was it started to climb up the walls toward me. And for a large creature, it was fairly nimble and quick.
How large was it? About?
Well, it was 60 feet, I guess,
It's
because
huge.
when it got up over the pit, it stood in front of me. And faced like a hyena, snarling. I mean, you know, the old-time pastors weren't wrong.
Right.
We laugh at them now because, oh, well, how bad can it be? Let me tell you something, folks. You don't want to see what I saw.
Yeah.
You don't. And Hollywood couldn't replicate it. And slobbering, it was drooling. I could hear the sound of its drool slapping the ground. But the worst thing was I heard my name being called.
How terrifying.
My name, Lord, my name. This creature knew me. Yeah. And I'm trying to rationalize. I wasn't that bad a guy. I didn't think I was.
Yeah.
I didn't kill anyone. I didn't rob anyone. I didn't hurt anyone. But I wasn't as kind unless I got a tax receipt. And so and then along with that, the name of my name being called, Jim, we are here for you. This is your time with us. And then the strangest thing happened. I heard screaming, but here's the sick part. The screaming was coming from within the body of this creature. It was as though it had consumed souls, and they were screaming for release.
Oh my goodness.
I mean, this is what hell is.
Yeah.
This is not some fairy tale.
Yeah.
and it came up out of the pit, and I staggered backwards, and I turned my back to it to keep my sanity, and I felt a claw right down my back. All the while, it's calling my name and trying. And I really feel that if I had turned around, that would have been acceptance, and I would have been snatched.